Good morning and welcome to the Maryland Public Service Commission's meeting for February 9th, 2022. As we get started today, I'd like to announce the promotion of Mr. Lloyd Spivak, who's been currently our acting chief counsel. He will now be our permanent chief counsel. When Lloyd isn't riding the rails across the country, he's been managing and working on a number of rate cases that the commission processes every year, and he's been doing so since October of 1998. Lloyd, like Susan Howard last week I mentioned, is a native of Long Island, received his bachelor's degree from SUNY Albany and a master's from Syracuse. Lloyd has made sure that the Office of Staff Counsel has been in good hands for the past year after the departure of the previous incumbent, and we look forward to Lloyd's legal skills and abilities as a manager in the staff counsel division going forward. So congratulations, Lloyd. As we move to our meeting today, we have meeting minutes to approve from our last meeting of February 2nd, 2022. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The meeting minutes are approved. Good morning, Mr. Secretary.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. There are 5 items on today's consent agenda. Items 1 and 2 are applications for certification of geothermal heating and cooling renewable energy facilities from Philip Hooker and Brian Voss. Items 3 and 4 are both requests from the District of Columbia Water and Sewer Authority for certifications of renewable energy facilities. And item number 5 consists of revised tariff pages from Verizon Maryland LLC reflecting Carey's Law and the Ray Baum Act.
Thank you. Do commissioners have any questions on these consent agenda items? Seeing none, I would move that with respect to items number 1 and number 2, that we approve the applications and issue renewable energy facility certification numbers and energy savings estimates. Direct the applicants to establish a REC account with PJM GATS within 30 days of certification and file a geothermal and thermal biomass generation report with the commission within 1 week of each recording of generation data with GATS of RECs created, and direct the applicants to file notice with the commission within 30 days of any changes to the information in their respective applications. With respect to item number 3, I move that, and 4, 3 and 4, I move that we approve the applications and issue a renewable energy facility ID certification number, direct the applicants to establish a REC account with PJM GATS within 30 days of certification, and direct the applicants to notify the commission within 30 days if the information in which the respective applications are based should change. And with respect to item number 5, I move that we accept the tariff revisions for filing as revised by staff in its comments dated February 3rd, 2022, and direct the company to file clean copies of the revised tariff pages with an effective date of February 2nd, 2022. The vote begins with Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Commissioner Linton.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell. And Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. The motion is approved. Mr. Spivak, we see you on the screen. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, item number 6 on the administrative agenda is a request from the Potomac Edison Company for an extension of the operational deadline for its Townhill energy storage project. On this item for staff, we have DeAndre Wilson and Michael Dean. For the company, Jeffrey Trout, Brian Mollenshot, and Ted Duver. And for the Office of People's Counsel, Joe Cleaver and Daria Pugh.
Thank you. Good morning to our staff.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, and staff. DeAndre Wilson here reporting for Engineering Division in regards to Potomac Edison's company's Townhill project. On April 15, 2020, the Potomac Edison Company filed its Townhill Energy Storage Project pursuant to Commission Order Number 89240 in case 9619, which established an energy storage pilot program in accordance with the Energy Storage Pilot Project Act. On March 30th, 2021, the Commission approved Potomac Edison's Townhill Energy Storage Project by order number 89783, subject to the general conditions included in order number 89664. The Commission then issued order number 89805 on April 21st of 2021, providing further exploratory orders for its Townhill project. On January 3rd, 2022, the Potomac Edison Company filed a request for extension of the project operational deadline for its Townhill project because of unanticipated project development delays due to lengthy contract negotiations with its third-party vendor and supply chain, site assessment, and development issues as a result of COVID-19. However, the company has not provided a definitive operational start date for the project, stating in its filing that the company, based on information provided by Convergent, its third-party vendor, expects that the project will be operational within 14 months of the date of the commission grants the requested extension request. Staff desires a definitive operational date to be established facility measurement against this commitment and create a bright line expectation in case a future extension of the project's operational date is needed. Accordingly, based on information provided to staff, the project should be completed by April 1st, 2023, and therefore staff recommends that PE confirm this anticipated operational start date. The company has taken measures to mitigate the additional costs associated with the delay of the project and has not provided any incremental costs. Therefore, staff does not believe the project will not see any impact to its primary value streams as a result of the delay. As a recommendation, staff recommends the commission request request that PE confirm an operational start date of April 1st, 2023, and approve the operational deadline extension request for its Townhill project pursuant to PUA 7-216H62. Thank you, commissioners and staff, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. We'll soon find out if they provide you with that confirmation. We'll now turn to Office of Maryland People's Counsel.
Good morning, Commissioners. Daria Pugh on behalf of OPC. OPC adopts the comments that we had with respect to the Urbana project deadline extension, as was discussed on January 26th in the administrative meeting. We filed our comments for the Townhill project deadline extension along with the Urbana project. We support Townhill project's completion and do not oppose the extension, although we do have some concerns which we raised in our previously filed comments. OPC agrees with staff that the Commission should adopt a specific date for the deadline extension. In the event that there is another extension request, OPC has reserved our rights to raise our concerns.
Thank you, Ms. Pugh. Your rights continue to be reserved, and we will turn to counsel for the utility.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Jeffrey Trout for Potomac Edison. We appreciate staff's and OPC's support for the extension request. In the extension request, we asked for an extension based on an expectation that the project could be operational or would be operational within 14 months from the date of the commission granting the extension. So 14 months from today would be April 9th, not April 1st of 2023. So if you want to have a measuring stick against which any future extension request would be measured, and let me just be clear that it's both Convergent and Potomac Edison's current expectation that the project would be up and running 14 weeks from today. 14 months from today. But as we've already seen, lots can happen between now and then. So I understand you want or staff and OPC want a date certain. We were trying not to prejudice the commission's timeline for holding a hearing and reaching a decision on this matter. But if you're going to reach a decision today, then 14 months from today would be April 9th, not April 1st. And I think that's the real dispute, if you want to call it that, between the parties presenting on this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. We'll turn to Commissioner O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Trout, a lot of uncertainty in your forecast ability to complete this project as submitted on time because of all the delays. And I don't quibble with the delays, but as you acknowledge, there's a lot of uncertainty. But now you seem to quibble about 8 days on the back end of a deadline with such specificity that 8 days makes a difference. I'm shocked. I'm appalled that you're quibbling about 8 days on the back end of a substantial extension, whether it's 13 months and 20-some days, 21 days, or 14 months exactly. Why would you quibble about 8 days on the back end of an extension? I don't get it.
Okay, Commissioner, I understand your concern. This is a third-party project. As you recall, the statute requires that we have several different, each company try to present at least 2 different types of project. This is our third-party project. Potomac Edison is not building this project or getting it ready to operate. And so I will defer to Mr. Duver, who is the counsel to comment, who is the party that would have to build and get this project up and running, and ask that he address your
Well,
concern.
before we go to Mr. Duver, Mr. Trout,
Okay.
with all due respect, the company is responsible for this project. Whether you sub out construction or other parts of it, you're responsible for it. You submitted it, we approved it, and it's part of the regulated sphere of work going on with your utility. So the company's responsible, regardless of what your contract person is going to say to me. I want to know why the company is going to quibble about 8 days on the back end of this, as you seem to be.
The short answer to that, Commissioner, is because we are not the owners, the operators, or the builders of this third-party project on our system.
But
We
hang
would
on, hang on.
be
This is your
merely
project.
take
Hang on, this is your
service.
project. It's your project. It's not their project. It's your project. They didn't submit it to us. You did.
If Convergent doesn't have a problem with something less than 14 months, they can tell you that. They've asked us to ask you for 14 months, and we have asked you for 14 months.
It just seems like you're quibbling.
That's
You're
as much as
splitting-
I can say.
Seems like you're splitting hairs ridiculously to me. I'm sorry, sir, with all due respect. That's my opinion. Go ahead, Mr. Duber.
Thank you, Your Honor. The 14-month window is the window that we were looking at based on the information that we know, and today, as we sit here before all of you, we're maintaining the same position and consistency that we've maintained all along. When the petition was originally filed for the 14 months, as well as even when there were follow-up discovery requests asked of us, we arrived on that date based upon the information based on the information that we had. And so it maintains consistency with this. Obviously, the commission has the authority to set a date that the commission feels is reasonable. The one thing that I will offer up that also supports 14 months from today is the fact that there is a contract that was signed 2 days ago for this project. And what the parties did in terms of selecting an operational date, and that operational date is tied to liquidated damages provision, that operational date by contract would be 14 months from the date of a commission approval. We couldn't set a particular date into the contract, not knowing the timing what when the commission would act. So that the choice of a date of today, the April 9th of 2023, would make it consistent with the contractual provisions.
Yeah, it just seems a bit presumptuous to me to sign a contract that assumes we're gonna give you 8 extra days when you haven't even put a shovel in the ground on your original submittal. And I don't get any of this. I understand the legal contractual argument you're making, but that's presumptuous on both of your parts, the company and the contractor's part, that we're gonna approve this. And are you seriously telling me that 8 days on the back of this is gonna make or break the aspirational goal of getting this project operational? 8 days, really?
Your Honor, I'm not the engineer on this that would be able to speak necessarily to the impact that 8 days would have at this. This is the request for the 14 months, and standing by this date was to maintain consistency with what was requested in the original petition as well as the contract. And we obviously recognize the fact that the commission has the authority to set whatever date it sees fit.
I get it. I'm just speaking for myself now. I'm a commissioner that doesn't like extensions of deadlines because they get blown through all the time on a regular basis, and I'm not a fan of them, and I sometimes vote against them. And you seem to be sticking your flag into the ground saying we need these 8 extra days. Notwithstanding the legal contractual arguments, you may lose my vote on this if you continue to insist that you need an additional 8 days when you can't even forecast getting a shovel in the ground.
I
Your Honor,
have a few. There's
Sorry,
no
go ahead.
question. There's no question on the table. I do have a question though. Mr. Trout, this was scheduled for was it the last administrative meeting or the one prior?
2 weeks ago, Your Honor, and we asked that it be moved to
Can you explain the reason for that 2-week delay?
Sure. The contract wasn't signed 2 weeks ago. The contract is signed now. So we did not feel it was appropriate to complete the process of asking you for an extension unless and until we had a signed contract. We have a signed contract.
And this contract was signed by the heirs of the landowner who passed away from COVID?
And no, a contract between Potomac Edison and Convergent.
So I'm still trying to sort this out in my head. Mr. Duver, you're basically saying that the contract would need to be rewritten to include an April 1st date as opposed to a date that is 14 months from the date of the commission approval? Is that the big deal here?
I believe, yes, that there would have to be an amendment to make the two consistent, to the extent that the commission were to order an April 1 date in order to reflect consistency regarding when the project would go into service.
Thank you. Does counsel for staff or People's Counsel have a concern with the April 9th effective date? If the utility makes confirmation of that date today?
Staff does not. We just wished to have a specific date that we could monitor the performance of the company to.
Thank you. Ms. Pugh?
And OPC does not have an issue.
Okay, thank you. Do commissioners have additional questions? Seeing none, I understand that the contract timing wasn't terrific, although I do sympathize with the frustrations expressed by Commissioner O'Donnell. I will make a motion that we approve the company's operational deadline extension request to April 9th, 2023. The vote begins with Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Commissioner Linton.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to vote no, and I'm going to explain my vote. I think we have the contractual tail wagging the commission dog here, and I on 8 days, which is ridiculous. And To me, it's a legal splitting of hairs, and I'm going to vote no.
And Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. The motion is approved. Before we conclude today, we, having nothing else on today's administrative agenda, we do have a hearing coming up in case number 9449. That hearing will start at 10:35 a.m. this morning on this channel. If you're waiting for that hearing, you may remain in this room. With that, today's administrative meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.